We are back here with another good episode. We got a few segments here for you. Our typical, segue into the recaps. We got the recap of the CJ Cup. Got the this weekend's tournament at Butterfield betting corner. But how are we doing today?
Doing good, man.
Before we get kicked off here.
I'm feeling good, man. I'm not feeling good from last week, but I'm feeling good today.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm excited to record this podcast. And
you played some golf recently, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. I played.
I guess you talked about it on the last pod. You played since the last pod, right?
Yes, I have. I played when I was home. Played a little par 3 course. Yeah. We played a little bit different. It was kind of fun. We didn't do anything traditional. We kind of did a knockout challenge. So traditionally, a knockout challenge. I'm not an exceptional golfer, nor were my dad and my uncle. We're not exceptional golfers. We enjoy having fun. So instead of anything par or above. Getting yourself knocked out. Us was bogey and above. Anything over a bogey, you got a strike against yourself, and you got 3 of them to knock yourself out. Not mean to brag, but I did win. So it was pretty cool though. It was a nice little par 3.
So does that say more about you or the people you were playing with?
Probably both. Probably both. Honestly, no. Honestly, I was playing pretty good. It was pretty nice. Though it was crazy.
Did you say your uncle was playing well before that?
When we were playing in Milwaukee, his irons were freaking on, man. But we kind of played a little old school. I lost my rangefinder. I left it at the Milwaukee course. They shipped it to me. So shout out to that course though, because they did not make me pay for shipping or anything. That's nice. Even told them too. I was like, I'll pay for shipping to send it to me, but they didn't. But so we played old school rules where you just read the yardage off the sign because the course doesn't have anything on 18 birdies or any other apps. So we just played it that way. So it was just traditional old school. So and we flipped the tee. So whoever went first, you had the worst odds because. It might be playing. You think it was playing 140, but the wind plays a huge factor into it. My uncle had one shot. He was right on the pin, ended up 30 yards short. So I changed my club rails right after him, and I ended up putting it on the green. So it was fun, though. It was a good time.
All right. Yeah, I haven't been out in a while, but I need to. They got all the courses here are starting. We got the one course right next to us that's packed, but it just opened up.
I went to the range the other day. It's actually okay, not bad.
I mean, it better be nice if it's always packed like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just mostly cheap. That's probably why it's also packed. And it's not cash only.
That's not cash only. They got my business. They're coming your way. But all right, so let's go ahead and get to our first segment here. We're going to go over some of the elevated events that PGA. That's some of their new things they're bringing in this year. Kind of retroactively, kind of changing what they do based on live. Kind of compete there, and also give us more money to the purses, larger purses there. So we got 4 new events. They added 13 total. 4 new events. They added the Waste Management Phoenix Open.
Woo! I'm excited about that one.
I don't know how it's going to affect going to it. I've been the last 3 years. We've been the last 3 years, right?
Yeah. So, I wish we bought tickets earlier because I wonder if ticket prices are going to go up now. Because
I don't know how it's going to affect that.
The players are your top 20. Was it top 20?
It's top 20. I was going to get into that.
Yeah, they have to play.
But it's based on the Player Impact Program.
Correct.
That hasn't been announced yet for last year, right?
No, it said that the 2022 Player Impact Program are required, so I think it has.
Has it been announced? I didn't see it yet.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't particularly look for it, but I didn't. I thought I'd see if it was announced already. I didn't particularly look for it though. But yes, we got Waste Management Phoenix Open, RBC Heritage, Wells Fargo Championship, as well as the Travelers Championship, were the 4 added here recently. So 13 total. It's all of the. Is it the majors, I believe, or is it majors? The FedEx playoff. These 4.
These 4. You've got
each purse will be
Dell Technologies Match Play. That's another one. There's some different ones.
The WGC.
Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Yeah. There's 13 total. Each purse will be $20 million individually. The players is another one.
The players, yeah. That's $25 million too.
Yeah. So top players finishing among the top 20, or top players finishing among the top 20 in the old and new Player Impact Program are going to be committed to competing in the 16 tour events, or in 16 total, 13 elevated tour plus 3 others of their choosing. And the thing is, they kind of went over it, I saw what was highlighted is only one of them, the Open, is the only international one this year. There's going to be 4 rotating. So the Open's the only international of the 13 this year, which they kind of were talking about on Twitter and whatnot about how they need to incorporate more international tournaments in that. But at least this year, they can always change it for next year. But this year, that's the only international one.
I think the CJ Cup was, they kind of talked about how it used to be in overseas somewhere, China, Japan.
That's right. Yeah. So last year we went over, I think in the pod last week, how it was in Vegas, I believe, last year.
Traditionally,
South Carolina this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, just because the COVID and everything, certain countries still have some regulations, so that's the reason for that.
Yeah.
And then this week's tournament, the Butterfield Bermuda that we're going to talk about, is a new tournament. It's only this is the fourth year, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it was introduced because of an old tournament that's no longer played because of COVID, I believe.
Yeah.
If I remember right. But yeah, back on the elevated, events, anything else you have to say about that? I mean, I know we kind of went over the highlights of it, but...
I think I'm excited about it, right? I think as a fan of golf, I'm excited about it. I mean, I want to see, if I'm going to an event, I want to see the top players, right? Like Waste Manager traditionally it's been a tournament where
you usually get a good field.
You don't get like crazy good ones.
No, but it's definitely not as bad as this year.
No, for sure, you're right.
We'll get into that.
So like, you get an okay field traditionally, but like as a fan that goes and I'm paying money, I want to see the best people play. That's what I want to see. That's my favorite. And but as a player, that's tough now because just for example, Jordan Spieth. I don't know if you saw this one. But he was talking about what his schedule is going to look like because he traditionally plays 2 tournaments local to him in Dallas, in Texas, because they're just traditional local tournaments that he's been playing for forever. So his schedule is going to take him from the Wells Fargo Championship in North Carolina. This is all back-to-back weeks, to the AT&T Byron Nelson in Dallas, to the PGA Championship in upstate New York, and the Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth, Texas, and then the Memorial in Ohio, and then he gets a week off, and then he goes to the U.S. Open in Los Angeles, and then the Travelers Championship in Connecticut. It's not overseas. That's a lot of travel, though, still.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of travel.
I guess if you're trying to, like, stay home, see family and whatnot, but I mean, I don't know. Athletes do that all the time, so I'm not super worried about that. I'm not feeling too bad for them. But
well, no, of course not. I mean, obviously they obviously get paid extremely well, right? And their fans love them, but still traditionally as a player, when the whole conversation recently has been about like quote unquote work-life balance, it's a lot of traveling.
Yeah, that was one of my points. None of the events are in the fall, and that was one of the points I saw being talked about as well. It's going to make for, obviously, like you mentioned, a busy schedule for those players in the spring. I think again, incorporating more international events in there, I think will help. Obviously the field's made up of plenty, obviously, internationals outside of the U.S., and also just splitting it up more, allowing for more flexibility. I think it's definitely something that the PGA is going to have to look into for sure, and I'm sure they will. I'm not worried about them not doing things like that.
No, this stat said there's a 4-month stretch of 12 tournaments that are either majors or $20 million purses. Yeah. That's quite a bit.
And you better be locked in your game during that stretch. I mean, that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, if you have a slump, that'd be the worst time to fall into a slump.
Or get injured or something like that. I mean, it's something that is definitely going to be interesting. I mean, are people going to play through injury maybe? I mean, I don't think it's too big of an issue usually. I mean, people don't really get too injured often on tour, but it does happen. I mean, Bryson, I think, had an injury last year during that stretch.
Yeah, but I was researching for the podcast today. I saw someone, so Rory actually, 2015 I think is when it was, right before the Open, he was going to have to redeem himself to go back-to-back victories, and he got hurt playing rugby.
I think, I did see that. Yeah. They talked about that in the last Open. Yeah, that's right.
So, players, they take some time off. Maybe they're doing something else, or they have other hobbies. Because how many times does the golfers really get hurt in the sport?
I mean, Tiger's had his issues. I think Bryson had, I think it was a hand last year around the spring. It doesn't. Yeah, you don't see it too often. No, it's usually just nicks and things. Obviously, you're not going to get like a concussion. Obviously, obviously that's not going to happen. So anything that's going to happen is probably going to be something. But the golf swing is such an intricate motion. If anything's off, true. It can throw you off.
No, but that's what makes me think quick before we transition. Did you see that video? It's an old video. Tony Finau, I think it's Tony Finau jumping, celebrating.
Dislocated his ankle,
and then just like pops it right back on the.
That was the Masters, fairway. I believe.
I think it might have been.
I think it was pretty sure it was the Masters. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe
I did see that.
Maybe they do get hurt more than
seeing things like that. Just like make me like twitch.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've never had something like that
Some
happen.
adrenaline just has to be going.
I guess.
Just to pop that thing right back into place.
But yeah, I'm excited to see the elevated tournaments, the events here. Excited to see how that kind of unfolds in the later years. But yeah,
I'm just excited as a fan, man. As a fan, right. I'm genuinely just excited to, like I said, just if I'm going to see events, I want to see my best people. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And I like the move. I mean, I think the PGA was their hand was kind of forced to make this move, obviously. Rightfully so, as they should. They should increase some of these purse sizes and kind of give the fans what they want. So,
but also the Player Impact program. I don't know a ton about it, but I remember seeing the list last year. Yeah, and it's not exactly. Do you get that pulled up?
No, there was nothing
yet. I don't think it's been announced
from
yet.
This year. No,
I remember seeing the last year's. It was really interesting because it's just. I mean, it's not just the top players at the time. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of just kind of what's happened over the last 5 years, decade. So, like, obviously, Tiger was, I believe, number one by, like, a long shot.
Yeah.
And, Phil was still up there. And,
Bubba was up there, too, last year.
Some of the older, like what you've done for your over career more so than what you're doing for me lately kind of thing.
Correct.
So, I would like to see that tweaked maybe a little bit to kind of reflect more for this purpose, right? Because, I mean, what if some of those, I mean, I don't know how Live is going to impact the Player Impact program, but some of those players are probably, I mean, Cam Smith, arguably, I mean, I don't know how it's calculated again, but I could see him popping up in there in the top 20. DJ, I think, was in the top 10 last year of the PIP, so I could definitely see him popping up there again. So I wonder if it'll be just top 20 in the PGA. I mean, obviously, because it's going to be PGA events, but
correct.
So I wonder if that's going to impact it at all.
It should, and I think it'll be a good podcast episode to talk about when they do announce the list this year, and for us to really to dive into it and really to understand it, because I was kind of similar. I only looked at it to
I guess I didn't think about
that to the PGA elevated events relation.
I guess that could play a factor into why there's no fall events. Maybe they're waiting for that to come out. I guess I didn't really think about that.
Maybe.
So I don't know. Again, I probably should have looked at this more. But yeah, the PIP, whenever that comes out, we'll have to do another episode on that. But so we got 4 new events for the elevated elevated events for the PGA. But let's go ahead and go into the CJ Cup recap. Got a good tournament. The favorite, Rory, won.
Yeah.
Back to the number 1 in the world.
Number 1 in the world. I'm pretty sure it wasn't this back-to-back victories for him for this tournament, too?
Yeah, he defended his championship. Yeah, he defended last year's CJ Cup. Yep, that's right.
That was nice to see. I mean, it's everyone. I think it's nice to see Rory win. Everyone's a big fan of Rory. Obviously, not who I picked to win. Victor Hovland obviously was my prediction for last week, but I'm a fan of Rory. Plus, I'm a fan of Domino's Pizza, and he's a fan of Domino's Pizza. So I eat it yesterday. So it all works out at the end of the day.
Rory, he pulled away in the back 9, the final back 9. Him and who was that? I forget exactly who it was.
Kurt Kitayama.
Kitayama, that's right. So Kitayama and him, and I think it was Cage Lee. Were in the final grouping. They were all kind of fighting back and forth. But yeah, the final back 9 of Rory had, I think he had like 4 or 5 under there and pulled away. So it was a good tournament. I mean, we were both scrapping with our picks. We'll get into the final picks we had, but really loaded field, unlike we mentioned earlier this week. So we had some good scores, some good players just putting up.
It was nice to see. I think, we kind of had the conversation last podcast. Is it better what strategy was the best, right? Picking players that had time off, or picking players that...
I think it was a mixed bag.
It kind of was. I kind of look at the leaderboard right here, and it kind of was pretty much John Rahm was in there tied T4. There wasn't what Burns is in there. There wasn't. It is kind of a little bit of a mixed bag of players that this was their first tournament coming back fresh, or some people who are have been in the groove and have been playing recently.
One thing I wanted to shout out was, again, Taylor Montgomery, the rookie. He's balling out.
Yeah.
Continues to impress.
13. Yeah, he's
tied 13th. So his finishes this year are 3rd, tied 9th, tied 15th, tied 13th. Balling out. I think he's going to be on the betting corner probably a few more times this year, I would definitely imagine.
I'm sure he probably is.
So he was on my parlay. He held up his end of the bargain. JT Poston did, the other end didn't. So I guess that's what you get with picking a parlay. So,
well, hang on real quick before we transition here real fast. I'm doing my 2 truths and a lie for you for Rory McIlroy.
Oh, that's right.
You ready for this one? And before we get started, do you know that the every time Rory wins, the population of Ireland is the fastest growing ever. Did you know that? It's because it's Dublin. That's a knee slapper. Anyways, 2 truths and a lie. You ready for this one?
Please.
He has had the same golf coach his whole career. He has won all 4 majors. He has won 4 majors by the age of 25, and there's only 3 people to do that.
2 truths. Well, he hasn't won the Masters.
2 truths and a lie.
I know the second one's a lie because he hasn't won the Masters.
It is a lie. He has never won the Masters. Yeah. You know, his best placing was 2nd place, and it was last year. But it's true. He's had the same golf coach his entire career since he was 8 years old. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's. I'm sure that's his coach's claim to fame. I'm sure he probably got a bunch of people coming to see him after that.
If that's not your claim to fame, I want to know what is.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
good.
Exactly. So, I just wanted to throw my little 2 truths and a lie. I like that.
No, and I got that one a lot better than the last one.
It was
more of a gimme, I think, though.
It was. I mean, if you know.
I mean, knowing Rory versus Keegan Bradley, that's a little easier. I feel.
Correct. And then I can't wait until next week because you're gonna have no clue of any 2 truths and a lie because
I might. I might
actually. You might. That's true.
We'll get into that right now. Actually, the Butterfield Bermuda is this week's tournament. 2021 winner is Lucas Herbert. It's going to be at Port Royal Golf Course in Southampton, Bermuda. It's par 71, 6,828 yards, a little shorter than a lot of tournaments you'll see on tour.
Mm-hmm.
So Brendan Todd won the inaugural event in Bermuda. This is what I want to get into. This is going to go into our picks later, but also it's going to highlight the fact that this is a weaker field. No offense to any of the players out there now, but it's a weaker field. So Brendan Todd won the inaugural event in Bermuda. Odds were 80 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long shot, right?
Yeah.
So followed by Brian Gay the next year at 200 to 1.
Jeez.
And then Lucas Herbert last year was 60 to 1. So a lot of long shots. Since the field is weaker, it's just more variance coming into play.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably what we'll obviously see that this week because it is going to follow that trend of a weaker field.
Yeah. I think too, real quick, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but I saw, Max Homa put a tweet out today. Did you see that? That he's taken some time these next, I think, many weeks off of golf to miss the sport again because he's not missing it right now.
Didn't he just have a kid, I believe, recently?
Probably a couple months old.
Was it?
Kid,
okay.
Yeah. But he said he's taken some time off just because he said it wasn't anything in relation to his family. The whole tweet was essentially about he's taken time off because he's kind of tired of the game right now, of how relentless it is.
Well, this is going to harken back to our first episode, I think it was, where they need more of an off season. This season just started technically.
That's what I'm saying. And then now we're talking about the elevated events when they're playing a stretch of 12 tournaments that are either majors or purses in 4 months.
I believe Max Homa I bet he's in the top 20 of the PIP as well. He's probably well-known.
He probably is close. Probably close enough there.
I bet he's flirting with it at least.
He probably is. So it's interesting to see him already making that statement, and I'm gives me curious to see what that.
So he's probably preparing for that. Hey, I'm gonna have to play, back to back in the spring for a while, so just take it off now.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm curious if we're gonna see that with a lot of golfers. I wonder if the field's gonna be. That's what essentially the point is. I wonder if the field's gonna be weak for many weeks going forward.
Yeah, we'll have to see. One thing I did see here is the trend. This course is. The top putters generally perform well. So of the last 3 or only 3 top 10 finishers in 2021 were outside the top 15 in putts per round. So typically good putters here, which I believe I'm no analytics nerd for golf related, but I did see that putting is one of the least sticky stats from week to week. So it's less likely to repeat itself each week. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
So it's as far as driving, accuracy and distance is more sticky, right? It's going to happen. You're going to be able to repeat that success more often than you will be putting success.
Putting's probably
it varies more week to week.
I think
even you'll have the better putters, but the performance week will still vary more than your driving will per se, or your approach.
Well, then arguably your iron play impacts your putting percentage.
I think the strokes to gain factors that in. I don't know exactly how they work, but I believe it factors it in where it's more like
based on how many feet the putt is or something.
I don't know exactly. Again, I'm not the huge analytics person for strokes gained for any related stat for driving or approach or putting, but I believe it takes it like independently of like that in particular shot, not like how your approach impacted it. It's like it doesn't matter how you got to where you were on the green. Mm-hmm. So like it doesn't matter if you were scrambling to get where you are on the green or if your approach shot was right there. That makes sense.
Kinda, yeah, I guess.
So if my putt is on the green and I'm 20 feet away, it doesn't matter if I scrambled to get to that 20-foot away putt or if my approach shot was to that 20-foot away putt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was just curious if the putting statistics were like how many putts per hole, right? If it usually averages at like 1.2, let's say putts per hole. If you're having a weaker week in your iron play, your putts per hole might probably increase a little bit because if your irons aren't sticking it close, then you're obviously going to have more of 2 putts, right? That's how I was kind of thinking about it. I don't know the whole how it's all factored in either. Just curious.
But so that's what the trend is for this tournament here. So that's kind of how I went off for my picks here. Kind of trended towards the better putters.
You found someone who's a better putter? I didn't know anyone in this field. And barely know anyone in this field, I should say. I was
looking up strokes gained amongst the field. Some of them are up there. They are definitely up there. I had it pulled up. I lost my tab here, but I'll go ahead and pull up the strokes gained and where my picks are when we get to that. We'll go ahead and get to that right now, actually, getting to the betting corner. Before we get into our picks now, let's go over a little more of a recap than what we already have for last week.
Well, do you want to talk about who our prediction is for Butterfield Bermuda Championship?
Oh, yeah. So we can go ahead and do it. We haven't posted that again yet, so let's go ahead and do our pick officially before our betting corner.
Yes. So I'm going Seamus Power. Seamus. Same thing. I don't really care. I don't know these people, man. I barely know any of these people.
Seamus Power.
He's one of the players who I found who actually has a tour victory. So I'm going solely based on his statistics.
I know Seamus Power. He's so I did that draft.
Seamus, same thing.
I did that draft with my buddies. I do for each major, and he's been featured in a couple of my teams. In that format, it's a little bit of a different than what we do betting corner, but it's drafting a team snake style. So Seamus Power.
He's probably one of your last people that you drafted.
Probably second or last pick. Yeah.
Like
it's sometimes third, depending on how many people we have that particular week. But I know Seamus Power.
Seamus. I'm gonna know him now once he wins this week. And I can finally get him to have 2 tour victories.
Seamus Power. Okay. My pick is Bryce Garnett. Huge long shot.
I don't even know who these players are.
I have heard of Bryce Garnett. I don't know him very well. He has a huge long shot.
Okay.
But we're going with Bryce Garnett. Some of the information I saw regarding him is he plays well in the tropical environments. He has won once before in Punta Cana. He's won in Punta Cana before. He's got 2 top 7 finishes in Puerto Rico. So we're going to go with that.
Sure.
Bryce Garnett.
I feel like our strategies for like these next probably few weeks tournaments are going to be like very different. It's like this person's got a half sister who's got his name April, and that's the reason why I'm going after that person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like versus like last week, I feel like we can have an actual strategy as to why we're picking these people. This is just long shots, in my opinion.
I still have a strategy.
I mean, you do have. I give you the fact you do have a strategy.
That's the reason why I'm only one hitting betting corner.
Oh yeah, you won the 2. Okay, Anyways, I don't know. PGA needs to figure something out about these smaller tournaments.
What do you mean? I think it's good.
I don't like it at all, man.
I don't mind it.
I don't like. They need to make the off season a little bit longer. Get rid of these like random tournaments. Like, who's Butterfield? Do we know who this company does? No clue. I think of like
CJ.
I think of I do now because it's my food. Remember?
I do now. Yeah.
But I think of like Mrs. Butterfield's when I think of Butterfield. I don't know. I just think they need to figure something out. With there's too many. Same with MLB. There's too many games. The PGA needs to shrink their year a little bit. Not like I'm not talking like how Liv does 6 events. I'm thinking just not 6.
Well, I think Liv's already committed to doing more next year.
Yeah, we need to do. It's just not this many. Give them a little bit more of an off season and figure it out.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It gives them a chance to kind of, I think, attain more points for official World Golf rankings and whatnot. Makes more money. I don't mind it at all. It gives the top players a time to have some time off too.
Well, the official
Max Homa and all
the world rankings is based on the field too. So
yeah.
So you get I'm sure I'm curious to see with the winner of this week's tournament how many points they get towards their official ranking.
The ranking is worse, but you still have a better chance at getting the top points of that.
Well, yeah,
of that field.
Yeah, if you're excellent player, you have a better chance. This I feel like is just
I don't mind it.
I don't know.
But so you got Seamus Power. I have
Power.
Bryce Garnett. Those are going to be our picks you're going to see on our social medias.
Yep.
And going into betting corner last week.
What about Live Golf Miami, my friend?
Live Golf Miami. We're going 4 aces because they win everything.
I do agree. But have you seen the format for it though?
I know 4 teams got the bye.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's they start on Friday technically because there's the quarterfinals. So the 4 teams do get a bye, and then the teams 5 through 12 will compete in head-to-head matches, and then for the head-to-head matches, 3 matches will take place: 2 singles matches and 1 alternative foursome match. So they have a whole little system into this. It's kind of interesting. And then obviously the matches are played till a winner is determined, and then once a team earns 2 points, each match winner they receive 1 point. So once a team earns 2 points, it's interesting. It's kind of hard to follow all of this, but if you think it makes sense.
I'm sure once you watch it, you'll be
correct.
Sense.
But then the team that earns 2 points will advance into Saturday's semifinals, and then Saturday's kind of similar, but then obviously teams 1 through 4 will join them as well. But the higher ranked teams get to just select who they want to go up against. That's interesting, because that could be 4 aces can come out and say, I want to go after whoever the heck's the worst team ever, but that could be an upset. There can be upsets in there.
They pick the team or the individual golfer?
They pick the team. They pick the team. Yeah. So I think that's it's interesting how that whole format is.
See, that's what's going to be like the President's Cup kind of, where it's just more. You don't have to have your eyes on every single golfer like you do a normal just tournament. Mm-hmm. Whereas the match plays, things like the team aspects, I think it's more enjoyable. I think to watch. At the President's Cup, my eyes were glued. Honestly, yeah. I watched a ton of the President's Cup. It was really exciting. I would.
Sometimes a little non-traditional. It's kind of fun to watch.
It's just every shot means more. I feel like in those aspects, every shot means something. Obviously, in the landscape of a four-day tournament, but it kind of gets lost. Whereas each shot, I feel like in those kind of formats just feels so
more impactful.
Feels so important.
Yeah,
right.
Makes sense.
And you can put pressure on the golfers because in a 4-round tournament, like a normal tournament you would see, you're not really seeing who you're going against. The person might have already finished their round, who you're closest to in the first couple of rounds. Mm-hmm. You're not grouped with them yet, so it's kind of just out of sight, out of mind. Whereas this, you see exactly what you need to do. You stick one close to the pin, pressure's right on you at that moment, so it just feels more exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
So live in Miami, right?
Miami at Trump National Doral, the big blue course, I think is what it's called. I forget. It plays long.
Clever name.
It's big blue monster. I forget what the heck the thing's called. I have no idea. I'll have to pull it up. It plays 750 yards, 760 yards. So a little bit of a longer course there. So
I'll definitely be watching some of that. Considering you say you basically hate this tournament for Bermuda.
I'm not gonna watch much of it. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I really am not. I don't know. It's not as exciting to me. It's betting corner plays a factor into it because I'm more bought into it. Obviously, you don't know what my picks are, and I split it up a little bit, but it's just not as exciting to me. It's my opinion. I'm gonna watch more of Live this week.
That's fair. That is fair. I will definitely be watching some Live.
Do you think some of these PGA players are gonna watch Live this week?
They're not gonna say they are.
Of course not. But do you think they are at home?
Yeah.
I think so too. I think if you're a fan of golf, you're a fan of
golf.
Not
all of them, but definitely a fair share will.
I think so too. Yeah. I was just curious what your thoughts on that.
No, they're definitely not going to say they did. Yeah.
They're not going to post it on their Instagram story, feet kicked up or anything.
But the thing is, so I commented to somebody on Twitter, which I need to do less of, honestly. But
that's your first mistake.
I commented to somebody on Twitter talking about that. And I'm just, we don't want to talk about Live a ton, every single podcast. But it's just it would be so much better for the game that we already talked about in previous episodes. Like, if they did that, what if the PGA Tour players were just kicking their feet up watching it? That'd be entertaining for me to see somebody post that on their Instagram story or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really sweet, I think. So I just think we're missing out on something because of that whole thing. But it doesn't matter. We'll maybe talk about that. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
In future episodes. So you.
Here we go, betting corner. I kept trying to push it off as much as possible, trying to throw any other topic out there so we can avoid this conversation. I had another horrible week.
Another
over again. Minus 300
Hovland was
points.
vying there for a minute.
A decent amount of my picks were doing pretty well, and then just late Saturday and then Sunday Hovland was the one who lasted the longest. I had him top 10. He finished tied 21. He was
He was there. He was with Burns, who
Yeah.
ended up scoring for me. He was my
Correct.
only bet that hit. Burns top 10.
Correct.
He finished tied 7th.
Yes.
And you had Hovland top 10 as well. They were neck and neck for a while. I think they were in the same grouping, if I'm not mistaken.
They were separate groupings.
Separate groupings?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
They were right next to each other.
Yeah.
So I had Burns. I lost 30 units this week. So I'm minus 150 units on the season so far. You're double that.
Minus 300. I mean,
but the thing is, are you picking an outright winner this week? You don't have to say who it is.
No, heck no.
Because that's how you get back. You can make literally all of it back in one pick, though.
Well, of course, 100%. But it is incredibly hard to pick a no-name from this field. Just
watch me.
Yeah, let's see. I'm excited to see. All right, let's talk about. You want to talk about picks? Let's talk about picks.
I'll do my first one here, and then you'll go after me. Do you have basically doing the same strategy. I do have 5.
So yeah, you should go first.
I'm basically doing the same strategy as last time.
All right.
Doing another parlay.
Okay.
I had half of it hit last time. Montgomery balled out. That's the fickle nature of a parlay, though. One of them hits. TCJ comes back for more. So close. I only missed on one. So I got another one. Seamus Power. He factors into my picks here as well.
Okay.
Seamus Power, top 40. Thomas Detry, top 20. He's been balling out actually a little bit too this far this year. Yeah. I don't have his exact finishes here like I did some of the other players here, but I've do my impressed depressed every Sunday, and he has been. I think he was on my impressed a couple weeks ago, and I did that because the week prior to that he was a top 10 in a pretty decent field, and then I think he was top 15 the week after. So he's factoring in here. I got him top 20. That parlay is plus 237 altogether. Putting 20 units on that. Power top 40, Detry top 20.
I like it. Well, I'm changing my strategy again because if it's broke, fix it. So I'm going someone a little close to you. A little close to you, especially your dad. Really close to your dad. He's a huge fan. I'm going Adam Schenk this week. I'm going top 20. Odds are plus 200. I'm going 25 units.
I don't have his exact finish for the Zozo, but I believe he played well for the Zozo Championship. Let me pull up his finish there.
I literally I hope if anyone listens to me, I mean, my picks. I hope they're not following. Taking my picks.
He was tied 16th at the Zozo.
See, you know what? Strategy. I more or less did it because
as one player you knew in the field. Just
that's seriously. That's literally the one player I knew. So that's my one reason. But I went him top 20, odds plus 200, 25 units.
So Adam Schenk, he lives right across from my grandma, Holly Drive.
Holly Drive. So you know what? If he cashes out this week for me,
I think I heard they were building somewhere. I don't want to give too much away. I don't want people knocking on his door, but
they'd be pretty. I'm sure he probably would not be happy.
Adam Schenk, okay. Top 20, you said?
Top 20.
How many units?
25.
25. You doing 25 across the board?
Nope.
No. Change up, okay.
I changed up last week too, but yeah, not across the board.
So my second pick here is going to be Mark Hubbard, top 20. That's going to be plus 140 at 35 units. That's my biggest, or tied for my, I got 2 35-unit lays. So
got it.
Mark Hubbard, again, traditionally, he is a strong putter so far this year. I've got my list here. Let me see exactly where he is again. So he is 44th in PGA's ranking of putters as far as strokes gained putting so far this year. So that's 44th amongst all PGA, and a lot of those people ahead of him aren't playing this week. So I didn't count exactly how many are playing in front of him this week, but it's pretty strong amongst the field. So he's done well with the putter so far this year. So I like it.
That's a good one. All right, Next one, Mr. Seamus Power. Top 20. Odds are plus 140. 25 units. Top 20.
I hope it hits.
I
have him top 40.
Yeah, I hope it hits too. Let's hear your next one.
I have S.H. Kim.
Okay.
Top 20 again.
That name sounds familiar. I actually probably do know him.
Huh?
I know him.
You know him. There's a lot of Kims, though. I might be mixing them up. I don't know.
There is a lot of Kims. I think CT
Pan
is playing this week.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got S.H. Kim top 20. That's a plus 160, another 35 unit lay. I believe I had his. Again, let me get his putting up here. Not Si Woo. Again, here's a lot of Kims on the board here.
You're clicking away a lot of Kim last names.
There's 6 of them here already.
Yeah.
That's so many I had on my control find Kim. There's 6 of them. So S.H. Kim 18th in PGA's ranking of strokes gained putting. And again, that's with a lot of players ahead of him in that ranking that aren't playing this week. So really good putter. Top 20.
Let's see what happens.
Let's do it, baby.
I'm going Live, my next pick. Going Crushers. 20 units, outright winner. Odds are plus 350.
So do you have the team who makes up the team Crushers?
No, I don't even remember. I think this is what's his name's Brooks' team.
Brooks?
Yeah. Let me look.
So that'd be Brooks, and I know Chase, his brother, is on the team.
I type in Crushers. I shouldn't even Crushers team, and it gives me some random.
Let's see if I can find it first.
Some random. Here we go. Oh no, it's not. I was wrong.
Was it Bryson's?
It's Bryson's.
Yeah.
With Paul Casey, Charles Howell, the third. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce this next one. Anirban.
Oh, yeah. On her bond, I believe.
On her bond. Yeah, see, you know what? That sounds a lot better than how I said it. But that is who the Crushers are. Which, honestly, is not a bad pick.
And you had them to win outright?
Outright winner.
What was the odds on that?
Plus 350.
350.
Plus, it's like I said, the course plays long. Bryson DeChambeau. I like it.
I would have thought picking an outright team would have given you better odds, like plus 800 or something.
Because it's all point based, remember? So there's realistically like only a couple teams that are really in contention for this.
Okay.
Because just for example, I forgot to mention this. The 4 aces are sitting with 152 points. They're 56 points ahead of the closest team, which are the Crushers.
Okay, so the points that they gathered throughout the year are still factored.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if that was just for the ranking for who got buys and whatnot. It was clean slate now. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yep. So that's kind of how I can even pull up the odds for the rest of the teams here. But go ahead and take your next pick.
I will go with my next pick outright. I'll go ahead and say this one since I already said it. Bryce Garnett, I already picked him.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Garnett, outright winner. So I said it was a long shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus 10,000.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's a long shot, huh?
That's quite a long shot.
5 units. 5 units is all I need to make a pretty penny off that one.
I guess so.
So plus 10,000, 5 units. Bryce Garnett. He balls out in the tropical weather. Let's go. I get that one. I got just an insurmountable lead on you.
Well, correct.
I mean, it's a long season, but
yeah, exactly. All right, ready for my last pick?
Let's do it.
4 aces.
2 lives.
2 lives. Outright winners.
That one had to be like, what? Let me guess. Like plus 150.
175.
175.
Yep. 30 units.
Oh, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to pick amongst who wins.
So the top 4 teams get to pick amongst the winners of the quarterfinals who they're going to go
I
up
assume
against.
they get to pick first.
I would assume probably that that makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
The 4 aces, the team that's ranked first
Gets
right
to pick
now gets to pick
first.
first. Yeah. If not, then
Interesting.
they really messed up that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm going two lives this week, 2 outright winners that have pretty good odds to end up being a winner, and 2 top 20s. I'm literally just praying for some sort of green. That's all I want. Just give me a little bit of it back. I can't keep depositing every single week and not getting anything back. It's going to kill me. Gamble responsibly.
Okay, all right. So those are your 4. I went 5 again. We said we weren't going to go more than 5. I think again to maximize ability to.
And I might change that next week.
Try and get positive again. I've hit 2 of my 4, 8, 12 picks so far. We've done 3 weeks of this, right? This is our 4th week.
Yeah, we did 5 last week.
I did 5, so it was 13. 4, 8, 13. So I've won 2 of my 13 picks, but it hasn't profited me yet. But I've hit 2, so I'm gonna. My last pick here is gonna be Aaron Rye. Outright winner again. Mm-hmm. This one's 3,500 plus 3,500. Mm-hmm. So about a third of
a little better odds than
of Garnett's
1,000,
odds. So 5 units on that one. 5 units on that one. 5 units on the other outright for Aaron Rye. I've kept my eye on him for the tournament so far this year. He's been up there in contention, so I like that one. So we got 5 picks. I feel good about these picks.
I feel good every week, man. I tell you what. And then I feel good after the first 2 days of the tournament, and then I start getting a little shaky. And
so I actually have something else on that as well. So I saw the forecast actually, and this is something that a lot of people. There's professional DFS people that play golf like DFS, and they go really deep into the weather of who not only what the weather's like that day, but early in the day. Because they are teeing off basically throughout the day. Yeah. Right. So they say, okay, well, what's the weather like in the morning? Is it more favorable to get off to a good lead? And they look into that a lot. So I know that I didn't go that deep, but so that factors a lot into people that take this a little more seriously, have more on the line than we do.
Yeah.
But I saw that the first 3 days of the tournament are low winds, 10 to 15 miles an hour, nothing crazy. But on Sunday, the forecast is upwards of 35 miles an hour winds. So you might have that again where, hey, my golfers might be doing well going into Sunday, and then that wind could really shake things up. Or maybe your golfers aren't doing well going into Sunday, and then they rise up because people ahead of them had the wind factor to them. So
it's possible. They look into some crazy stats, like what kind of pillow they sleep on at night. Just kidding. That's a full-time job for them.
And then these people are basically professionals. They do this basically for a living. Some of them that
I'll have to reach out to them for some consulting services to turn this betting corner around for me.
So I haven't gotten that deep. I know they do it. That's what I saw. So I haven't. Maybe as the season goes on, I'll get in more of that hopefully, and maybe improve the bets. But those are my 5 picks, and that's what I got here. I do want to explain again, if you are listening for the first time, Betting Corner, we are doing our picks for the week's tournament, whether it's Live or PGA. Live's ending soon, so it's going to be all PGA here soon.
Correct.
For a while. But we're doing 4 to 5 picks each week with a rolling amount we're going to bet each week. So if we lose it all, we're just going to start up with that amount again for our bankroll. And then whether we win or lose, we're going to start with the same amount each other week. Mm-hmm. And then whoever's up the most, or I guess lost the least at the end of the year, is going to have the bragging rights or have some kind of punishment slash prize at the end of the year. Yep. We haven't really decided yet, but that's what Betting Corner is if you're new and haven't heard it yet. So that's what we're doing. That's what that was. So right now I'm winning. Got you doubled up, kind of. Not really. You got me doubled up and lost technically. So.
It's so early too.
It's so much time.
Yeah, like you said, you can pick one outright winner and completely turn it all away. That's what golf is crazy. It's just it's such a different sport to bet on.
Yeah,
it's so different.
You can't just go whoever's playing Monday Night Football, pick one side money line and have your odds basically be 50-50.
Yeah, you can't even pick traditionally. You can't even pick number one player in the world. Whenever Rory's playing next, you can't just be Rory's automatically going to win. It's not true. It's hard.
It's so that's why the odds are so good though, and that's why Bryce Garnett's going to pay me a lot this week. But that's all we got for this section of us. You got an interview coming up.
Yep.
So stick around for that interview, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you guys for still listening to the Cactus Golf Podcast. Super grateful to have another opportunity to have another interview. This is going to be our first golf instructor that we're going to be interviewing on the show. Past episodes we've had golf brand founders, we've had golf influencers. This is going to be our first instructor, and I'm very, very excited to have Henry Stetina on the show. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Thanks, Matt. Happy to be on the show. I'm doing very well. I'm looking forward to a little conversation with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get right into it. Well, what got you started into golf? Not just coaching others, but like yourself personally. What got you into the sport?
So my dad was a lifelong golfer. He had played when he met my mom, and then when they had kids, and we were old enough, he introduced all of us to the game. And I was about 7 years old, I would say. And I remember us, starting on the driving range and practicing and working our game before we were able to make it out onto the golf course. And um, at about 11 years old, I was able to play in a tournament. I fell in love with it, and then I played in a bunch of junior golf events, high school. I played a little bit of college, and then ultimately made a career out of it. So I remember those early days, and it was a very good time, and obviously it stuck.
Absolutely. I wish myself I got into it early. I was definitely a sport. I was baseball and football. So myself, I didn't get into golf until about 4 or 5 years ago. I played every once in a while, but I definitely wish I got in earlier like you, because I mean, having I've amount of lessons that I've took for baseball over the years. I wish I was able to invest that into my golf swing instead to continue playing. So that's awesome. I'm excited to hear that. What made you want to start coaching others?
I wanted to be a professional golfer, and obviously there's only a select few who are able to do so. And at some point, we're often told that the child's game is no longer a career possibility for us. And so I happened to play 2 years of college golf, and I was transferring to a bigger university. I wanted to go back home to New Mexico, and I was kind of nudged in the direction of New Mexico State University, which at the time I had a better chance of walking onto the team than I did at UNM. And it also has a PGA golf management program, which is a specialized program for individuals who want to pursue a career in the golf industry. At the time, I had no interest in doing that, but a friend and mentor who was a graduate of the program was the head pro at the course where I grew up. And then my parents were familiar with it. So I think the three of them kind of planted that seed and kind of nudged me to come down here and visit. And when I got down to Las Cruces, I realized that a bunch of the kids that I had grown up playing junior golf with were already in this program. And I met the director and hit it off from the beginning, and ended up spending 3 years in that program, finishing, becoming a PGA professional, and still had desires to play professionally. Didn't really see myself in the golf industry for a long period of time. And then just at the very end of my time there at NMSU, I went to a teaching seminar taught by Hall of Fame instructor Manuel De La Torre. And he really opened my eyes to the possibilities of a different way of thinking of and playing the game, and ultimately teaching the game. And so that really inspired me to want to become a teacher. I developed some relationships with some of the other individuals who were at that seminar, and have kept in close contact with them. They've become friends, mentors, and colleagues. And from that beginning, it took me a good amount of time before I really felt like I understood those simple concepts. And now today, many years later, I'm teaching full time. I work for the university, and I get to share that information with the next generation of golf instructors.
That's amazing. I love that. That's a good story. Sometimes, like you said, you wanted to be a pro golfer, and sometimes, life takes you on a different trajectory, and you found out what's best for you. And sometimes it takes a little bit of nudging, like you said, from parents as well, to help guide us in the right direction. So I love that. That's a fantastic. What do you like most about coaching?
I like the relationships that we build with our players, and I like the sense of satisfaction when the player learns something new, succeeds, develops a greater interest for the game, has some personal reward from doing so. I work with college students primarily. I actually work for the university. I'm within the PGA Golf Management Program, and so inspiring them to teach golf, to run junior golf programs, to pursue their dreams and aspirations within the golf industry. And then now, having worked for 9 years with the program, I'm able to see how some of those, early planting of seeds is actually coming to fruition with individuals having successful careers as golf professionals. And so that's a big chunk of what I do. The other side of what I do is I do a lot of junior golf within our community, and have been able to provide access to the game for a group of people who may not have otherwise had an opportunity. And that is ultimately the most gratifying, and being able to share that with our PGA Golf Management students is kind of a win-win for all three of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It has to be just an incredibly rewarding experience to not only help the students develop a career and find something that they can settle there and start their life in, but also, like you said, help those junior golfers and expose them to the world of golf. It's amazing. It has to be incredibly, incredibly rewarding. And obviously probably a lot of patience too, just to be able to, help everyone. And, sometimes people can fall off track or lose interest, and you invest a lot of time into them, and must take a little bit of patience as well.
It most definitely does. Yeah, it's I drive myself crazy sometimes, but I'm definitely learning to detach from the players, and to allow them to explore their own journey through the game, and improve and progress at their own rates, and allow them to get the experience that they want out of it. So that has taken quite a bit of patience.
Absolutely. Two more questions I have for you real quick. In your opinion, what's the biggest mistake you think golfers make?
I could answer that two different ways. I would like to say that their expectations are completely unrealistic, and it's not on their fault. We watch golf on TV, and 150 players or whatever that are playing in the event, only 10 or 15 or 20 of them are getting any TV coverage. It's those players who are playing the best golf of their year. They're hot. They're making long putts. They're hitting it close. They're performing at a very, very high level. And so as a viewer, we develop a false sense of reality for what we should expect from various distances. For example, golfers often think that they should make all of their putts inside of 10 feet. Even the TV broadcast will report on the one or two individuals who are atop the leaderboard who are making all of their putts. But the statistics show a very different story of what averages on the PGA Tour. And from 8 feet, they're only making 50% of their putts. It's like a flip of a coin, whether that putt goes in or not. On the most pristine golf putting surfaces in the world, by the best players with the best equipment and the best coaching, and spending hours upon hours practicing. And so if they're only making 50%, we shouldn't even be close to those levels of expectations. We should reduce that down to something more attainable for our level. Maybe it's 25%, or maybe it's only 10%. And if we start thinking that way, we would be far more accepting of our results. I think we would actually perform better because we wouldn't be trying so hard. We wouldn't be so aggravated with ourselves. And then we would certainly enjoy the game better. Instead of getting upset, thinking we should have done better, and kind of allowing our game to snowball out of control, we would be more accepting, and we would move on to the next shot and the next hole more easily, knowing that if we just continue to give ourselves a chance, there may be a hole or a shot towards the end of the round that we perform higher than those averages and actually finish the round on a high note, ultimately building success and building momentum throughout the round.
that right there, that's the clip for this podcast right there. That's the teaser. That was amazing. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. I loved every single thing that you said, because it's perfect. Because of course, major media is going to report the best players because that's what sells, right? Everyone wants to see the top players, but it's in reality, if you go to the events and you actually watch the rest of the field, that's way more what reality looks like. People are missing those long putts. I think Thigala last week, no, it wasn't Thigala last week. Someone last week shot I think it was 19 over. And that's reality, and especially that's PGA level. That's what you said. That's pristine golf conditions. I mean, the putting surface is perfect. At our local municipal courses for the average golfer, I mean, you've got craters from divots that no one's fixed in quite a long time, and it's so different. And even just watching, you can watch famous golf influencers on YouTube or on anywhere, and you'll see them, even them, just making all these crazy shots, and they're going to post what the best shots that they've ever made, because that's what gets attention. They're not going to post the the putts that they've missed with inside 3 feet, because that doesn't sell for them, right? So I loved every single thing that you said there. That was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
It's interesting. Even at any level, I always thought of myself as a pretty good player, and in my younger years, a good wedge player. But I drove myself crazy thinking that I need to hit my wedges within 5 feet of the hole or within 10 feet of the hole, because that's what we see on TV. But in reality, from 75 to 100 yards on the PGA Tour from the fairway, they're averaging 18 feet. And so when we see on TV, they hit it to 2 feet or 5 feet, that's a really, really good shot. And we have to realize that there's also shots during that round or during that week or year where that same player is hitting it to 25 feet or 35 feet. I mean, they're only hitting the green 82% of the time from that distance, and we freak out if we miss the green with a little.
Absolutely. I love that. I love every single thing that you said. Like I said, that is right there. That's the clip for everything. I think everyone needs to hear that, and everyone needs to be more realistic with their game. They really do. It's great to, don't get me wrong, it's great to have high aspirations and really trying and push yourself to get better. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for that, but we also have to be realistic at the same time. So
yep, I'm not saying not to try to hit a really good shot by
correct.
any
Yeah,
means.
exactly.
I'm trying to make the shot from 100 yards out. I'm trying to put the ball into the hole. But I just got to realize that the likelihood of that is not very realistic. And so, knowing those percentages, knowing those averages allows me to accept the results after the fact. Absolutely.
Henry, I love that. One more thing I have for you. Tell everyone about your weekly newsletter that you do. I've been seeing you post a lot about that. I know you're obviously investing a lot of your time into making those graphics, and I love the way you break it down for everyone to swipe through the pictures on Instagram. And so tell everyone a little bit about your newsletter and where they can sign up for that at.
Yeah, my online presence has evolved over the years. I mostly started it during the pandemic, and started with Instagram, and now I'm kind of branching off into a weekly newsletter. We're sending it out 3 times a week right now, Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. A person could go to Instagram to sign up, and they're just going to get more detailed content. They're going to see various pieces of information that's going to help them with their golf swing. It's going to help them with their practice. It's going to help them with their mentality and their expectations. And overall, it's just another point of contact. It's another way of digesting the information, and it allows me a little bit more leeway into the amount of content that I provide in those newsletters.
Absolutely. Where can everyone find you at and sign up for that at?
Yeah, so they could go to Instagram at Henry Stetina Golf. They could follow me there. They can go into the bio and click the link, and then there's a whole variety of areas to which they can contact me, one of which being that free newsletter.
Awesome. Henry, I appreciate you for being on this week. This was a phenomenal end to the episode. Like I said, it couldn't have been any better. So thank you again so much, and thank you guys all for listening. to the Cactus Golf Podcast, please take some time and help us out and subscribe, leave reviews, like, comment, ask questions, and definitely check Henry out and check out that newsletter, because he puts out some really great content, and I'm very grateful to be able to see it myself. And there's a lot of things that I've read on there and seen that I've applied to my game as well. So Henry, thanks again for being on, and after everyone else, we'll see you next week.